from Group 1. My name is Hannan binti Suhaimi. I am from Kuliah Islamic Review Knowledge and Human Science, and I am from Department Fiqh and Usul Fiqh.
Hello, Assalamualaikum. My name is Siti Amiratul Fatini BintiShahreer, watching number 2012374. I am from Kuliah of Education, major in TESOL.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Husna Solihah binti Mohammad Rusli. My number matric is 2113810. I am from Kuliah Islamic Review Knowledge, majoring in Fiqh wa Usul Fiqh.
Hello and Assalamualaikum. My name is Nabilah binti Muhammad Asri. My matric number is 2011406 and I am from Kuliah of Education, majoring in Teaching English as Second Language.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Siti Nurnajhan binti Muhammad Sariff from Kuliah of Education, majoring in TESOL.
Now, I will explain about concept and history development of Scientism. According to the Merriam-Webster Dictionary, Scientism has two meanings, which is first, Scientism is a method and attitudes typical of or attribute to the natural scientist. Second, an exaggerate trust in the efficacy of the methods of the natural science applied to all areas of investigation. In the other hand, some scholars have a different opinion about the term of Scientism. Like historian Richard G. Olson defined Scientism as a force to extend scientific ideas, method, practice, and attitudes to matters of human, social, and political concern. However, philosopher Tom Sowell has defined Scientism more precise, which is Scientism is a matter of putting to high a value on natural science in comparison with other branches of learning or culture. Other than that, a scholar has defined the meaning of Scientism too. It is closely related, but is more extreme. Scientism is defined as science model on the natural science. It's the only source of the real knowledge. This meaning of Scientism is defined by the MIT physicist Ian Hutchinson. The origins of Scientism can be traced back at early 17th century. During the scientific revolution, most scholars had previously placed a high value on intellectual heritage, primarily based on a blend of Judeo-Christian scripture and ancient Greek philosophy. However, the flood of the new knowledge undermined the ancient authority throughout the late Renaissance. Francis Bacon of England, René Descartes of France, and Galileo Galilei of Italy lead an international movement proclaiming a new foundation for learning based on careful observation of nature rather analyzing ancient texts.
Okay, next let's move on to the characteristic and principle of Scientism. As for my part, I will explain some of the characteristics of Scientism ideology briefly. We need to know how to differentiate this ideology and others. Firstly, there are some branches under this Scientism. We need to know that Scientism is a problem of placing an excessively high priority on natural science concerning other disciplines of culture or study, says philosopher Tom Sowell. The fields of the various sciences, such as mathematical physics, biology, physiochemistry, and mathematical logic, correspond in the principle with the entire area of available knowledge. Each of the sciences investigate and describe particular kinds of reality and or inquiries into some piece of truth from a specific point of view. Next, the characteristic and principle for this ideology is the reliable method. This ideology only relies on the reliable method of widening our knowledge and making that knowledge more accurate. The consistency which a method assesses is referred to as reliability, such as test-retest experiment and parallel forms reliability. Even when different sciences have different techniques and unique ways, all of them agree to use the same methodological principle for this ideology. The same result should be received when applying the same procedure to the same sample under condition. Otherwise, the measuring method may be unreliable. For example, all begin with careful observation of the phenomena in the field. Each has marked out for investigation and proceed from of hypothesis based on the data. Once this hypothesis has been formulated as to be adequate to be phenomena in question and no more complex than it be, a more extended series of observations are conducted, supplemented by experiment, if possible, by way of verifying and modifying the initial hypothesis and thus establishing them as theories.
I want to talk about the impact of the scientism to people. First, people believe that science is the only source of knowledge. If science is the only source of knowledge or rational belief, everything that is not mentioned in science theories does not exist. Next, it will affect the prestige and public trust in science. Obviously, scientism followers have a great deal of faith in science and recommend this ideology to everyone, to the extent that scientism raises expectations about what science can do too much. It can easily contribute to undermining public confidence in science. There are some examples of scientism, and one of them is the theory from physicist Lee Smolin. In 1997, Lee Smolin, author of the book The Life of the Cosmos, goes one step further by applying the principles of natural selection to a multiverse model. Smolin assumes that black holes cause new universes and that the physical laws of the universe determine its tendency to excite black holes. Thus, the body of physical laws of the universe acts as its genome, and these genomes differ in their tendency to allow the universe to reproduce by creating new universes. For example, it happens that a universe with a lot of carbon is very good at making black holes, and a universe with a lot of carbon is also a world conducive to the evolution of life. For his evolutionary process to succeed, Smolin also assumes a kind of mutation mechanism in which the physical laws of the universe can be slightly modified in progeny universe. For Smolin, then, not only does our universe have to happen because there were so many dice rolls, but dice are loaded in favor of a universe like ours because it happens to be a particularly fit universe. That's all from me. Thank you.
Scientism is rational. It's rational to the extent that the belief that it accumulates are true. The finding can be proven because it uses the methodological scientism. Scientism cannot explain about morality. Moral values differentiate human beings from animals. Morals are important, but science cannot differentiate between good and bad. It states the fact as they are, but not what ought to be. So there is no moral difference between them. Islam is a religion which ordered its followers to behave with people in good behavior. It is one of the main spirits and teaching of Islam. In Surah An-Nisa, verse 40, Allah mentioned about the importance of good behavior, even the smallest one, which means, indeed, Allah does not do injustice, even as much as an atom's weight, while if there is a good deed, He multiplies it and gives from Himself a great reward. The existence of God. Scientism can explain about metaphysics. The existence of God regarded as a myth and a fabrication of human mind because the presence can be proven with scientific method. This is not allowed in Islam as the existence of Allah can be argued because there are many signs of it. In Surah Az-Zukhruf, verse 87, which means, If you were to ask them who created them, they will surely say Allah. Whence are they then being led astray? This is explained about the existence of Allah. Materialism. Scientific materialism creates a parochial worldview which generates a materialistic physical view of human nature. Ricardo and Adam Smith's economics encourage a selfish, egotistical model of human life. This selfish and materialist interpretation of humanity that was acclaimed as a universal truth declined to see human beings as a vicegerent of God, as the paragon of animals. Islam encouraged its believers to be selfless and devote themselves toward Allah, also as a vicegerent of Allah in Surah Al-Hadid verse 18. The men who practice charity and the women who practice charity and they who have loaned Allah a godly loan, it will be multiplied for them, and they will have a noble reward.
So right now, I'm going to summarize what we have learned just now. Well, scientism might sound similar as science. However, these two are different. Scientism basically refer to the view or exaggerated belief which emphasizes science as the main source of knowledge or the main authority in life and human matters. This concept actually contains subjective definition who defined by famous intellectual thinker and philosophers such as Tom Sowell, Galileo Galilei, and Richard Olson. It started to develop around 17th century after scientific revolutions. It's keep growing, experienced few historical iconic events such as the establishment of movement, development of the purity of the method and observation, and expanding till the ideology become popular around early 20th century. Scientism also contains few principles. We have coextensive, which means that scientism covers various branches of science, such as biology, physics, and mathematics. The methods that have been used are the formula and theory from the field of studies, and then we have reliability. It's more likely to strongly rely on the principle of this ideology, although they're using various methods. Next, scientism give impact towards the reputation of science and people belief. Some people will assume science give bad influence towards morality, although actually if we use the knowledge of science wisely, it will lead us to the connection with God. We will amaze to the greatness of Allah, as Allah has mentioned many times about the nature and all things related to us in Al-Quran before theories of sciences were invented. People assume that the strength of scientism is the rational value as they're using strict method, and the result will be accepted if only it was accurate and relevant. As I have mentioned just now, scientism also could produce shortcomings such as it can affect morality and it rejects the existence of spirits, supernatural, and the existence of God. Even in Al-Quran, Surah Az-Zuhruf, Allah has explained, even human is one of His creations.
Hello everyone.
Hi, it is nice to have you guys. How are you guys doing?
Alhamdulillah, good. Just had my COVID-19 shot.
Thanks for asking, Amira. I'm doing well too. What about you, Husna?
I'm fine. It's just I've been busy with assignment lately. Hey guys, have any of you ever heard about scientism? I just found out about this through an article that I read just now.
Yes, I used to watch a video about scientism from ML Studio through YouTube. It's kind of scary to hear about it, yet it is interesting to know.
Wait, what? Scientism? What is that? I've never heard about that before. Can anyone explain to me, please?
As far as I know, scientism is a problem of placing an excessively high priority on natural science concerning other disciplines of study or culture, say philosopher Tom Sowell.
So basically, This ideology mainly puts science as the higher priority in the principles, right? Then, what are some characteristics and regulations for this ideology?
I learned that scientism has its own coextensive field software sciences such as mathematical physics, biology, physiochemistry, and mathematical logic correspond in this principle with the entire area of available knowledge. Each of these sciences investigates and describes particular kinds of reality or inquiries into some piece of truth from a specific point of view.
I agree with you, but I would also like to add another principle that I know. Scientism only relies on reliable method.
I'm sorry, but what do you mean by scientism only relies on the reliable method?
As I know, the consistency with which a method assesses is referred to as reliability, such as a test-retest experiment and parallel forms reliability. That means that the same result should be received when applying the same procedure to the same sample under conditions. Otherwise, the measuring method may be invalid.
Do you have any examples for this principle?
Let me explain for the example. All begin with careful observation of the phenomena in the field. Each has been marked out for investigation and proceed with forming hypotheses based on the data. Once these hypotheses have been formulated to be adequate, they will establish them as theories or become relevant to be accepted.
I see. So, scientism has benefits for our life, right? Since they use quite strict measurements and methods.
Yeah, I think it's quite impressive that they prioritize rational values and provide unquestioned explanation. However, it's quite actually dangerous as sometimes they can come out with outrageous acts and arguments which could affect humanity and moral values. Even some of them are too obsessed with assuming science is the main source of life and knowledge and reject religious view.
Oh, I think I used to hear about the theory of life in the cosmos, which assumes black holes cause a new universe and emphasize physical laws to accept black holes. It totally contradicts our Islamic teaching. Plus, the idea was created by physicist Liz Mullen, who rejects religious perspective and mysterious existence.
Got it. Thank you everyone for sharing.
You're welcome. I think I have to go now. I have class in 5 minutes.
Yeah, me too. Bye, guys.
Bye.
How the gains we make in artificial intelligence could ultimately destroy us.
Kind of belief system of people who say, I don't believe in God, I believe in science.
People have called Scientism, which is the belief that science is the only true source of knowledge about the world, that an idea is only valid if it's arrived at through a scientific process. And it's important at this point to distinguish between science, which is a set of tools and methods for investigating nature, and scientism, which is an ideology that science has no boundaries.
Want to get really nuts?
Yes.
It's time to leave.
Time to leave what?
This planet. Our wisdom may have increased slightly. Maybe it didn't, I don't know. But our power is now godlike. We are now gods, but for the wisdom.
Your love, beauty, or justice. Scientism followers today are trying to examine religion through the scientific method. Richard Dawkins is trying to find a God that does not exist in the mind of the believer. He is always asking about the physical properties of that God. Where is he? Who made him? Why can't we hear his voice? Etc. For the vast majority of believers, his physical properties are never the main focus of their beliefs. They lies the core of the problem, scientism. Unlike science, scientism tries to answer unscientific questions using scientific tools. But should we let science explore and answer all aspects of our lives? The late Stephen Hawking thinks so, and he once said,
"Philosophy is dead. Philosophers have not kept up with modern developments in science, particularly physics."
I think many questions should not be dealt with through science alone. One should not seek a scientific way to raise children, appreciate beauty, form social bonds, or even deal with matters of faith. No matter what studies and statistics would tell you, there is no scientific way to choose your life partner. If science cannot answer a question, then no one else has the right to answer it. Richard Dawkins. The problem with dealing with these questions through scientific tools is that they are not capable of capturing the essence of these matters.